It's live. Here we go.
Who's the nerd with the glasses?
Why is he so handsome?
Was not perfectly queued up. There we go. 15 seconds. So the things we learned on this one from PTR. You can't stand directly under his hitbox and let the fire go over your head. You have to move left and right to dodge the fire. From watching other people's VODs, we can 2-tank this one. So shot can just DPS. We had some success with bouncing him back and forth with like the raid standing in the middle during the Bone Storm. And the 2 tanks going to opposite ends of the room. It wasn't 100%, but it felt like it worked pretty well, Gark, I think.
And 10 man?
Yep.
Yeah, and the 10 man.
Yeah, it seemed to do it. Most of it.
How were we for phase 1? Just kind of behind his ass cheek, spread out? In
Yep.
the flying V formation?
Yeah. You want to be probably within 10 to 15 yards of the boss so that people can break you out.
Dude, who's that? Y'all should recruit him.
Yeah, so right here, instead of everybody spreading out like this, where Rich is standing in this VOD, that's where Gark would be standing. And then over yonder, like same thing, but opposite side is where I would be standing. And then the raid would be where the totems are, roughly. And he should just bounce back and forth between those two spots, if done correctly.
So is melee just out?
Yeah, melee just fucks off. Ranged, you want to stay at least like 20 yards away from him. You can keep damaging him, but if he runs at you, you want to run away. Like this phase is just fuck your damage, stay alive, kill bone spikes until he stops spinning. But that was the only like min-max note.
We're desacking on phase transition?
Yeah, and there's no reason to pre-assign those. We can call those live because it doesn't happen that often.
We just have an order like for Uljor?
Yep.
What are you going to use for raid notes? That same one that...
I'm going to use MRT, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's saying like I had one for Algalon, I had one for Yogg Zero. Just like put notes up on the screen so you can call stuff. MRT is really good. If everybody downloads MRT and enables the notes function, we can actually send raid notes to everybody through that add-on. It's really strong. It can be simple stuff like stack here for this, just as text, and it'll appear on your screen without you having to do anything. That's pretty good.
What is that? MRT?
MRT, Method Raid Tools.
Awesome.
Yeah, highly recommend that one. Very good add-on. This one's more of the same. I'm going to fast forward us to Gunship. We're going to do Death Whisper on normal. I think it's just a bait. It's a huge time sink. It would take several pulls, and we're on a short week, so there's no reason to sink time into it.
Are we going to try to do some attempts like that following full week?
I think so. I think we'll pull everything at least once. At least the like 8 of 12 grouping, leaving out Putricide, well, the 9 of 12 grouping, leaving out Putricide, Cinderghost, and Lich King. Death Whisper is right on the edge of that. I think it's the 4th hardest heroic behind those other 3. Yeah, so if you didn't know, the triangle here is who you want to talk to get a rocket pack. Everybody in the whole raid should get a rocket pack, even if you're not jumping, just in case you have to jump, because you can't equip it during the fight when you're in combat. So get it ahead of time, put it on. It's your shirt slot, so it doesn't cost you anything to wear it. The cannons, let's see if we can fast forward here. So cannons right here in this phase where it's like RPing and you have a combat countdown. You can build your heat up to like 90 stacks, I think. Desi, correct me if I'm wrong on the range here, but I think it's like 90, 88 to 90.
Yeah, I mean, you can go past 90, just don't hit 100.
Right, but it generates between 1 and 10, I think.
Yeah.
So if you're at 90 and you hit it, you have a chance, like 10% chance of overheating. So the optimal thing to do is to go to 88 And when you're at 88, you hit your number 1 key and then hit number 2. Wherever it lands is how much damage you do. Otherwise, you're risking overheating. But anyway, you can build up to like 90 to 95 heat right here in this phase. And
You can
then
also damage it. I was getting damage markers when I was hitting it from down here.
from down here, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as soon as you can reach the ship, you can shoot it and start doing damage, and it should register, because we'll see it on the screen right here. If he has his health boxes enabled, as soon as combat starts, the ship will be not 100% health. Yeah, see, it started at 97. So if all 4 cannons are shooting as soon as they're in range, we'll skip a big chunk of the fight that way.
Can you turn double play speed on the cogwheel?
Oh yeah, good call.
Oh, and that quality, brother. We're gonna have to pump those numbers up.
Oh, I just went auto. Why is auto not going to the high quality?
What the fuck is going on right now?
What do you mean?
I've never seen this fight, so like I don't know what the fuck's going on.
So for like a melee, right where these
Yeah.
these cannons get frozen, there's going to be a audio cue every time Muradin says, we're taking damage, get a sorcerer out here, and then you know that the turrets are about to get frozen, and that's when you jump over to the other ship and kill the sorcerer or the mage.
It's really Gark that needs to be listening for that audio cue. And what all the other melee need to do is wait until you see Gark jump. Because if you jump before Gark, you could pull Muradin, is the enemy alliance guy over there, and he'll just one tap you.
Okay.
D-Boy, what you can't see from this POV is what behind Rich over here in the middle of our ship, there's bad guys spawning that all the melee are killing.
Okay.
And then whenever the freeze thing goes off, like Kirch said, that's when you stop hitting those melee and you go use your rocket pack to jump across. And you're killing that mage right there when you jump across.
Gotcha.
This guy that
I'll
Gark...
watch some videos too before. I just haven't
Yeah.
seen anything yet.
Yeah, you're good. That's why we're doing this. This guy that Gark is tanking, he does cleave. So Gark, I think generally when you jump, you kind of want to pull him to this region-ish, just so there's no overlap with where melee are running to get on and off the ship, and like face him towards the captain's quarters or whatever the fuck that thing is.
Gotcha.
One other note for people that are in the cannons, because we don't want to pigeonhole people, like the same 4 people, into doing cannons every week. Everybody should be able to do the cannons so we can rotate it. When you're in the cannon, you want to aim your cannon thing at this back row of mobs right here. That's I think they're mortar cannoneers or whatever. And you'll hear them. The audio cues are actually really useful in this fight. It's not just the one for the sorcerer that's useful. You'll hear rifleman reload, and that's the front guys respawning. And then you'll hear mortar team reload, and that's the back guys respawning. So if you're in a cannon and you hear mortar team, you know to point your thing back here and kill the back row with your cannon shots.
For DKs, you can also pesty off the sorcerer onto those bad guys pretty nicely as well. Help kill them.
That's huge. Yeah, the longer those mobs are alive on heroic, they gain a stacking damage buff. So you can actually wipe on Gunship if all 4 of these are not killing those guys in the back, because they'll just start one-shotting everybody in your boat. Yeah, I think that's the whole thing, though. It's just rinse and repeat on that. Min-maxing the cannons to speed the fight up. So we'll skip forward. We'll go ahead and do Saurfang. That's why we do these, because I think...
No, I'm saying even I was there and I was like so lost on what to do. I think I jumped off the ship with my jetpack. I was like, hell yeah.
The tendency, I think, for the private server guys is we blow through this stuff and we assume that everybody knows every mechanic, but that's not going to be the case. So that's why we're doing this. This one, I think we may attempt this one, depending on how fast we go on Marrowgar and how fast we get started. I think this one is probably one of the tougher, like mid-tier heroics. But what we're gonna do, I'll share in the chat after this, the screenshot that we're going to go by, but
Definitely one of the easier end wing bosses,
Yeah.
though, for sure.
correct. This gives us, of the 4 end wing bosses, this gives us 277 tier and 277 DBW, which are just massive items. So this is one to prioritize. But essentially, what we're going to do, he has 5 ads that he spawns. One of the ads is going to be assigned to melee. That ad is going to get Hand of Justice stun from either me or Rick, and it's going to alternate. So I'm going to let it play just so we can get to the actual fight. Maybe. We talked about this one a lot. Okay, thanks. So this one is a big time DPS race. In this phase, when there's no ads up, what we're trying to do is minimize his blood power gained. That's his mana bar. Blood power, runic power, whatever you want to call it. He's a Death Knight, so he has runic power, I guess. So this one is the things that generate blood power. We can post a little infographic. I think Kavzi had a good one that he shared at some point. Kevzy, if you can dig that up, just send it in the Strats channel, America Assignments channel. But essentially, he puts that thing on the raid called Boiling Blood. So all the paladins need to make sure you have that visible on your raid frames, and we're going to use bops. Whoever can get to it first. You can't double bop because of forbearance. So it's just whoever can get it the fastest. We want to bop the first 4, so we have 4 paladins, the first 4 boiling bloods that go out. We just want to bop them. That'll reduce a lot of the blood power he gains. The other one that gives him blood power is his the tank swap thing. So as long as Gark and I are paying attention, he shouldn't gain blood power there. And then the other big one is whenever ads melee somebody. So even one melee attack is too much. It generates blood power. So the ads might not one-shot a tank or it might not one-shot a melee, but they're going to generate blood power. It's going to lead to a wipe. So the goal here is for the ads to do 0 damage and not hit anybody. So when the ads spawn, this back one here, I think it gets marked moon. Maybe it's square. In this case, it's square. The back mob behind the tanks is going to be the melee mob. So that one is going to get a Hand of Justice from a paladin. All the melee are going to swap to it and kill it and swap back to the boss. You don't want to hit the other ads. You might pull Snap Threat. You can send things like Natural Cleave and Pestilence. I think it's optimal to send Pestilence.
For the 13% magic damage, for sure, because that'll help the range kill him. Definitely all the unholy should be pesty.
Yeah, and what we figured out on Tin Man is right here where the totems are, maybe a little bit back farther. Desi is going to stand here, and when these drop, John Z is going to be in melee with the improved Earthbind spec to root them. Desi's going to be back here. So John Z's going to drop that totem. Desi's going to Typhoon them back into the wall. And then the 2 ads on this side are going to be assigned from range DPS that are standing over here. And then the 2 ads on this side are going to be assigned to range DPS that are standing over here. So the ads are going to run across Earthbind and Frost Trap, which the hunters can be up on the stage. So like one on either side, so that you can trap weave Frost Trap.
Won't they be able to shoot them anyways?
I guess you can shoot it, but I mean that's what they did on the VOD that we watched. Either way, we'll have a big slow pit right here. And the idea is this back mob gets nuked inside the Hand of Justice, so it never has a chance to attack. These mobs that get knocked will all Snap Threat to the healers, because the Holy Pallies will have Righteous Fury, or the range DPS that are nuking them, and then they'll have to run across the slows. Yeah, we'll let this one run, but that's essentially the goal here is you don't want a single ad auto attack to go off for the whole fight. So when I say we might put some pulls on this, we'll put pulls on it, see if we have the damage and the strat to execute the ad phase. If we can consistently do the ad phase correctly, we can kill the boss. That's pretty much what it boils down to. The marks, when they go out, we'll put the first 2 will be beaconed. And then 3, 4, and 5 will be assigned an individual healer. If we get more than 5 marks, we probably don't have the damage to kill it.
We're gonna bop the burning bloods or the boiling bloods.
Yeah,
Blood boils, whatever it's called.
yeah, we talked about that.
Okay.
And there's a debate. I don't know if anybody has done more research than I have, but there seems to be a debate on whether you lust on pull or lust at 30%. Because he enrages at 30%. I've seen logs where people killed it both ways. So we'll try it both ways and see what feels better.
Yeah, I've heard both ways. I mean, I think theoretically or whatever, the overall raid DPS is higher from the lust on pull.
Yes.
But I've seen both.
Yeah,
I think
but
some pulls probably the play.
the
But
dangerous
the
part of
30%
the,
would be the healers, right?
right. The dangerous part of the fight is sub 30%, and you want your healers to be lusted in that.
Yeah.
So it's, I think I want to be able to lust on pull because that's clearly, like, the math doesn't lie that that's the better strat for damage. But if we're having marks die in the last phase, we might have to save lust for the end
Makes
phase.
sense.
Did we want a seating chart here? I don't think this one I made a seating chart.
No, I don't think so. There's too much movement.
Oh, you're right. We talked about that.
But you can fan out, range can fan out ahead of the pull timer, like you guys are doing here, so that everybody's spread out. There's a few things to talk about on this one that I think we can make it a lot easier on ourselves than we made it. And looking for how to recognize his abilities and stuff like that. So when he does the slime spray, right there, he's going to pick a person, he's going to face that person, and he's going to spray in like a, I don't know, probably like a 90-degree cone, maybe a little shallower than that. Sorry, my Chick-fil-A is coming back up on me. So if you're dead center of this cone, you just want to stand still because it's going to take you the entire duration of the slime spray to run out of it all the way to the edge of the cone. If you're on the edge right here, like these two healers, they can take a few steps and be out of the damage, so they should. But Desi, you're probably close enough to the middle to just stand and pump right there. So it's just a snap decision of when the slime spray goes out, if you're at range, look at the boss. If you're on the edge of it, step out of it. If you're in the middle, just pray for heals, hit your health stone, hit a personal cooldown. Melee and tank should always run through the boss. Always. It's like 3 steps to avoid all the damage.
The vial gas, we have to spread out so we don't chain the vomit debuff.
Yep.
How
That's
many
why
yards?
Rangers saying spread.
How many yards is it?
10 to 12.
This is the one with the slimes, right?
Yeah, so if you noticed the first 2, I think this is our very first pull. I made the raid call to wait to dispel. That was the wrong call. I think it's always safe to dispel right away. But whoever gets dispelled, I mean, you can still army. It's fine to army on the pull. You just want to create the big ooze not in the melee stack. So if 2 melee in a row get the debuff, you guys need to be aware that you need to run out of the melee stack to combine your oozes and touch tips and form the big ooze.
So the army taunt is kind of like an aura, like what is it, Stoneclaw or whatever. So yeah, as long as you're like outrange it, should never be a problem. So yeah, just run out and
Ideally, the first ad goes on a ranged person, but I would say if the first debuff goes on a melee person, as soon as the second debuff goes out or is about to go out, that first melee person should go ahead and preemptively take their ad out of the melee pile. That way the big ooze doesn't get stuck in the army.
We should mark the healers so that healers always have priority to not move for the vial gas, and everyone else, we can know who fucked up. If you chain vial gas and you're standing by a mark, name and shame, get the hell away from the healers.
Yeah. And this one, I mean, Gark already knows this, but I think the ideal place to tank him is right in the middle. It gives the range the most room to spread out. So right here, unstable ooze explosion. We're going to normal speed for this. I'm going to try. Rick's going to make fun of me, but I don't care. I'm going to try as best I can to explain how to survive this ability in particular. So I'll be calling when the next ad that gets merged into this big ooze is going to cause an explosion. It's when it gets to 5 stacks. So whenever this gets to 5 stacks, you're going to see it pop up right there. Big ooze begins to cast unstable ooze explosion. It has a cast time. At the end of the cast time, right here, the explosion happens. You can see it right there. It spawns 25 little oozes, one for each player. It targets each player at the point where they're standing when it explodes. Okay, so the explosion happened in this frame. That means these people on the screen right here, this spot, an ooze is going to land right there. An ooze is going to land right there, and right there, and right there. That's the trajectory that they're launched on as soon as the explosion happens, which means safe spot is right here, or right here, or right here, wherever there's not a person standing whenever the explosion happens. And you can watch those little things. It's going to land right there, and it's going to land right there, because that's where they were standing when the explosion happened. You can see them coming down at the specific spots where people were standing.
We're going to do the melee, left leg, right leg, and then a spotter to make sure that the safe area is clear when the explosion actually happens.
Yeah, melee should be on left leg. It's very similar to Algalon. So melee are going to be left leg, and then you wait for the explosion call. When the explosion happens, that means it's time to move. You don't want to go early, because if you go early, you put an ooze in the safe spot by going early.
It's the same thing as Cosmic Smash. The same mechanic. It's not any different.
It's just from the sky and it's green.
There's 25 Cosmic Smashes instead of 3.
Yeah, exactly. Oops.
And there's no orange reticle. There's an invisible ooze that's flying your direction. It's an invisible Cosmic Smash times 35.
I mean, even despite that, we almost one-shot this guy. So I think this is a definite, spend 2 or 3 pulls if we have to, because it's very killable in TOC gear.
You could also totally AMS that unstable ooze explosion, by the way. It's pretty negligible. Probably cloak, all that stuff.
Even with like 10 of them coming down on the same spot?
You can cloak it 90% of the time. No.
Yeah, because if we do it properly, Kirch, you're going to have like 10 oozes coming down on his left leg.
Yeah, just if you get stuck in like a kind of bad spot or something.
If you're not DPSing the boss.
Are we going to be planning on like, okay, unstable ooze, run to right, and then after it hits, run back to left, or just stay on right and then alternate?
I think go back to left. That's what people are used to, because that's what we did on Algalon for like 80 weeks. So
that makes it easy. Yep.
Alrighty, good to know.
So you'll always be on left foot, which means right foot is always the safe zone. That's going to be important as well for Festergut. We're not going to pull Festergut heroic, probably. Maybe we give it 1 pull next Thursday, but you have the malleable goo from Putricide happens in a slightly different way on Festergut. We'll talk about that one in a different VOD review, but that's the idea for next Thursday, with it being a short week, is we want to kill Lich King. That's the priority, and it's killable. Everything's killable on normal. We did it on 10 man with a few heroics, so probably half the group knows the fights. We did all bosses on 25 except for Cindergosa and Lich King. So I think we can expect, if we start 30 minutes early, end 30 minutes late, which is what we should be planning for, we have a singular 4-hour raid window to full clear on normal. If we can kill Heroic, Marrowgar, Gunship, Rotface, Saurfang, that's perfect. That's like the ultimate dream for a week 1 short week. If we had to drop any of those, we would drop Saurfang, because I think the other 3 are really achievable. So that's kind of the thoughts so far. So anybody got feedback on that? Comments on that? Questions about any of that?
Volithria is easier than Saurfang. It could be
Depends.
Your late.
I think we
Hail
could do
Mary.
Saurfang week 1 personally. I really think with the LE totem talent, like that's gonna be huge, and then just the experience that everybody's had on the fight. Like I think that we're not really gonna run into a situation where anyone will pull threat, and particularly if we're doing the strat where melee are swapping to one that's hodged, like I think we'll have no problems.
Does LE totem, does it break on damage? Because I think entrapment doesn't.
No, LA Totem does not break on. Well, it has a.
Yeah, the root
Chance,
has a
maybe?
chance. It works the same way that Frost Nova does. Has a chance, but it's very unlikely.
I think that's why a lot of people used for Freya used Hunter, because it doesn't break on damage. Last I heard.
Well, and people didn't take Ellie Shamans to Old War.
Don't
That is
quote me on
true.
that. It might not break on damage. I'll have to do some research.
You could also have a Frost DK spec Chillblains, which is slowed, or a Unholy spec Desecration, which is a slow. Like either. Or.
I mean, it's one global for the hunters to weave frost traps in, and you could probably even layer it to where the frost trap is going to be down because it's procced by the boss, so that's already there. And then Desi's going to Typhoon into the wall, and then once they start running, then you could drop Earthbind. And you kind of have this like layered CC, because at that point they should be aggroed to the ranged people. I guess the question is, if you do that, are they going to whack melee? Because I think that's how Frost Nova works, right? If they get rooted next to people, they just whack whoever's in range.
Yep.
I don't know the answer to that. Maybe that's a
threat
bad
target
play.
is out of range. Yeah, they do.
We'll just have to pull it and see, honestly, see what the damage feels like. The gauge is going to be, do we have the damage to kill the ads before they reach the ranged players? Because ranged can't move for the whole fight. On heroic, you get that huge slow. You're like 90% movement speed reduction. So you can't kite the ads. You just have to stand still and pump. So we have to have the damage every ad phase to kill the ads before they reach the ranged people that are killing them. Yeah. Volithria might be a good one to pull for cruising. Most logs that I saw were 7 healing. That's one that Jeranar, John Z probably flex for. Maybe even Desi. I don't know.
Especially if we're doing the pet and like a holy priest and stuff.
Yeah.
Like we'll just have so much bonus healing.
How many portals?
Yeah,
are
I'll
there?
have holy. I think there's 7.
So you have
Six.
two healers stay outside plus however many portals
Just one.
worth of healers.
You just have this priest out.
So disc stay out, and then plus however many portals there are. So many flex you need.
Yeah, the best logs that I saw, you essentially had 3 holy paladins that were getting maximum stacks. Resto shaman is also really good, and then you can send a resto druid inside. By the end of the fight, the druid is mainly just healing the other healers, because the portal, the debuffs do like increased ticking damage to the healers. So the druid goes in and heals the healers so that they can just bomb heals on Volithria.
Always beacon yourself, right?
No, you beacon the dragon and
Beacon
heal the pet.
dragon and heal the pet. Okay.
Yeah, that's the cheese. It's like 40% more healing. I got a tip actually from one of the non-toxic get carried guys. Blood DK has the cooldown for what's called vamp blood for increased healing. You can if we had a DK with a blood spec, it's worth running that for that fight, just so you can use that extra healing cooldown. You call out whenever you're using that, and then all the holy pallies heal you instead of the pet for the duration of the vamp blood.
That's crazy.
Purge, it's your time to shine.
I ain't specking that shit, blood DPS shit.
So we actually like tested it because the whole tenacity thing, like I brought it up to my other guild and they like all made fun of me and were like, that doesn't really work. So
It does work. It's proven on logs.
for fuck's sake. Alright, we're doing it then. I'm gonna put my fist down.
Yeah, tell them they're dumb. It works.
Yeah, quit that other guild. Just have sex with
I'm gonna
us.
say Hey, you're stupid and dumb, and I'm gonna say Siduri's the one that says so.
Tell him. You know
That'd be
what?
good.
You know what? You can tell him I said there.
Idiot.
I'm gonna do it right now.
Got him.
Because they were flaming me pretty hard.
On Saurfang, could we utilize distracting shot in any way to make sure that that's come to the range and not get stuck in melee?
I don't know if you necessarily want to drop globals for that. It's not going to be hard for them to pick up snap threat on the ranged people, because no melee, the melee should only be hitting the stunned mob. And with the Typhoon knocking them back into the wall, it worked on 10 man to where it was like probably 2 or 3 seconds before the ads even started running at the ranged people. And at that point, you're getting, as a mage, you should be queuing your pyro so that you can fireball pyro and add as soon as they spawn. I'm sure other classes have similar things. I've done that fight most on mage. So that's one of the, there should be ways like that. We can put mages on opposite sides, because I think they're easy to get snap threat with. Hunter is another good one that's easy to get snap threat, but I think you can be just as successful with like explosive shot, aim shot.
So,
not worry about distracting.
what are we talking about for snap threat?
Fair enough.
Just distracting shot from a hunter, but
For what? For what
to
fight?
force for Saurfang to force the ads to go to the range so they don't aggro on the tanks or the melee.
Okay, yeah, sorry, I wasn't multitasking.
I definitely pulled ad threat because I didn't stop using my Hammer the Righteous as part of my rotation. So I don't know if, like, Gark, if you have abilities that are naturally AoE in your rotation, it's good to, and for any DPS really, any melee DPS, it's good to hold those. It's very similar to KT from Sunwell, where you, if you guys remember that one, like every transition, the ads would spawn. You had to hold your cleaves for 3 or 4 seconds until after the ads spawned so the tanks could pick them up. Then you could start cleaving again. Same theory. You have a timer for when the ads are coming. If you have any cleaves in your rotation at all, you want to stop them. Let the ads spawn, let the range pull threat, then go back to your normal rotation, whatever it is.
Do we know if those ads are like undead or are they just beasts?
We could probably see.
For what, boss?
Saurfang.
I think they're beasts. Not undead. Also, I know we're not at Blood Queen yet. I just want to say, like, I think that Mage probably is the best person to get bit first.
I agree.
They benefit the most. If we run into an issue where the mages don't have first bite, what you can do, and I tested this, is you can just MD and tricked into the mage, and then the mage can just, that you're targeting, can use mirror images, and they'll be guaranteed to get it no matter what, and you won't have to worry about the threat issue because you'll get bit before mirror images expires.
Yeah, we tested that in 10-man. Didn't quite work, but I think it was because Desi was actually higher on the threat table, even with the tricks or the MD. We just had one. Like, we didn't have tricks and MD. We just had one. I think on 25, that problem kind of goes away because you can send a lot more threat on 25 men.
Yeah, you obviously don't want to like pop your cooldowns on a mage until you get the bite for sure. So it's like, or at least like if you know you're going to be the first bite. The only thing that will be kind of play it by ear is once mages get their 4-piece when mirror image becomes a DPS cooldown. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's what. So the plan for this series, so that it's not like an hour and a half long slog of me talking, which I would just hate, is we're gonna do this. You're good, man. We're gonna do the same thing next week after raid, but we're gonna look at the next set of 4 bosses, including Blood Queen. So that's a good note to bring up for that one. But yeah, keep an eye on the America Assignments channel. We'll start putting up like diagrams and positioning charts that reflect all of this stuff that we're talking about. I think for these first 4, the only one that's going to have a dedicated diagram is Saurfang, because the rest of them are kind of. But this one, you actually want to have people positioned ahead of time and ads assigned ahead of time. It just makes the whole thing a lot faster when you're actually in there.
Sid, me and Jeremy just tested it, and it does smack if they're rooted.
It does.
It will smack melee.
Okay. Okay, so we need
I
to.
thought we were talking about them being broken. Yeah. So if a target is rooted, it'll just hit whoever it's closest to. If it can't hit whoever it has highest threat on, that's just the root mechanic in general.
So we actually want to purposely not take that talent then.
Well, I could stand farther out, and root once they're out of melee, but before they get to the range.
They're going to be going in different directions, though.
It only roots when you put it down.
Yeah.
Right, I know.
So you could stand on like the edge of the stairs, and then as they're walking down, drop it, right? So I mean that's perfectly viable. I mean you would just have to play around it.
Keep it up. Just don't do it when they're out.
Well, I mean, yeah, I can always keep the totem down for the slow.
Yeah, I think totem should stay down, but I don't think we should ever try to root the mobs because I mean, it's going to be too risky to drop a root when somebody's within range of it. I think.
If I'm gonna be in melee, then it should just be my responsibility to drop it. Because like, I mean, we can do them back to back, but like there is a cooldown for Earthbind Totem, right? So like, I can do like I was doing on our 10-man runs and just like wait for them to start walking Earthbind as they're walking by, and then I'm sure we'll have Trap and then Typhoon, so we'll have a lot there.
Yeah, Earthbind is redundancy, is all it is, because you should have Frost Trap down 100% of the time.
Well, I mean, yeah, Johnsy needs to pump, dude. He doesn't need to like run up and drop one. I'll be standing right there, so.
It would.
I would be standing there.
It would be beneficial to have Johnsy farther back because I think Ellie is going to be really good for. Ellie's going to be
popping.
Ellie's going to be really good for snap threat in addition to mages, I think. So. Maybe we nix the whole Ellie totem thing and we just rely on Frost Trap and enhance Earthbind without the root, just the slow.
I mean, we can certainly experiment, but I think it'd probably be best to have Johnsy focus on pumping. It's my opinion on it, anyway.
Ellie Shaman handshake, Ellie Shaman.
I'll go Ellie, dude. We'll have 2 Ellies.
Fun fact about Ellie, apparently Chain Lightning, just kind of like Faction Champs, is the chain part is not counting as AoE, so it's actually doing full damage. I don't know if it's a bug or not, but it's definitely
it's actually insane on this fight if that's the case.
I just read and heard it today, so I don't know if they'll fix it or if that's just the behavior of it.
Yeah, that's all I got for tonight, team. Anybody got anything else? Questions, comments? All hearts and minds clear?
Yeah, no, thank you for this.
Yeah, it was good.
Really
Thanks for looking at all that for us, man. It's awesome.
Appreciate the session.
Thank Rich, too. Rich is putting in a lot of work behind the scenes.